All right, welcome to KJ Live. My name's Brett Auten with KnuckleJunkies.com. Here with our very first podcast, webcast, videocast, whatever you want to call this. We have a couple guys with us tonight, Jon Menke and Dan O'Connor. Jon is one of those you don't know, one of G's top up and coming coaches around here. Jiu-Jitsu black belt, has his own thing going with the warroommma.com gym downtown. I'm sure we can talk about it a little bit later. He's been helped a lot of those guys at Destruction MMA and of course St. Charles MMA. Dan O'Connor, for those you don't know, up and coming flyweight, 2-1, 3-1,
3-1.
3-1. Krav Maga instructor, and we're just kind of get things rolling. Guys, if you want to kind of chime in, little introductions or anything else.
Dan, you going first or me?
I was gonna have you go first, but
Oh, okay. Are you sure you want to follow? I don't know. I had a pretty good one. No. I wasn't going to be an asshole. I thought for a second, I was like, all right, when Brett brought me in, I was going to go ahead and jump in and say something like, thinking like, full of flavor, the Jedi gangster, Jon Menke, back with knucklejunkies.com, something like that. But then I was like, no, I'm trying to be professional. So.
that'll work too. Well, my name's Dan O'Connor. They call me Johnny Irish. Jiu-Jitsu guy, mainly. Have a little bit of boxing, train Krav Maga, as they said. Just very well-knowledged guy in MMA. Really watch all the fights, and I try to be as entertaining as humanly possible.
So yeah, kind of like we kind of hinted at on Facebook and whatnot. We're just giving this a spin. We're going to talk a lot about St. Louis MMA, obviously, but also just the sport in general, and just maybe anything else that kind of comes to our mind. We're going to have guests, hopefully, more and more Skype in, but as of tonight, we'll have some guys calling in, talking about upcoming fights and just kind of MMA in general. I guess good way to start off. UFC 159 was just this weekend. Big to do over John Jones and Chael Sonnen, broken toe and all that. But a guy just we just found out. Well, I just found out here talking before we started. Pat Healy, who's actually the big winner of the night, got submission of the night and fight of the night bonus. Has some local ties here in St. Louis. Dan or John, if you guys just kind of want to chime in, what you guys know about that?
Well, he used to train at Burgers MMA. He actually was a wrestler at SIUE, which is pretty close to St. Louis. It's right outside of Missouri, right inside of Illinois. He's really good friends with my cousin. Actually, used to be roommates with them. The kid is just a monster. He's not the most technical guy in a lot of areas, but he will grind people down to just a bloody pulp. And that's what he did with Jim Miller this weekend. I mean, he came out, got hit a bunch, as he usually does, and just grinds him to the ground and finally put on a choke on a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that's high level and has a lot of fights. So
what stage of his career was he when he got here, and where did he go from St. Louis?
As far as I am told, and Minky might be able to elaborate on it, I was told that he pretty much got more technical with Steve Berger. Started out maybe a couple first fights, a few fights into his career, he started training with Steve. I know a lot of the SIUE guys were doing MMA just for fun. I know AC, Alex Carter, I think that's his name, was fighting, and a couple of other guys were. So I think they kind of did it as a goof. And then they found out that Pat's legit. So, and then he is where he is now. He wasn't getting a lot of attention, and he ended up moving back to Oregon, where he's from, and that is now training with Chael Sonnen. So, if Mickey wants to elaborate on it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he and his brother both were relatively established coming out of that northwestern area. They have a really, really high quality of MMA up there. Even their amateurs are really, really quite tough. Like you saw, Mighty Mouse, he came right out of I guess he had maybe 10 amateur fights, and then within just a few fights, he was already getting big fights as a pro. So that it's a real tough area to come up. And I know they came out of that area, Pat and his brother Ryan, both real good fighters. I guess Pat got the opportunity to come out here and wrestle, and when he moved out here, went over to Burgers and continued to train, and just like Dan said, he's just really, really a gritty, tough guy. He's not going to quit. He's not going to slow down. He does kind of have his pace, and I guess he can be outworked. It's not the first time he's been in the UFC. Yes, I cannot remember off the top of my head who was the first one. He did get one fight in the UFC. I want to say no. I almost said Matt Arroyo, but I don't think it was him. Anyway, he did get one fight in the UFC, and he did lose that one. So, but then he got a second chance with Strikeforce, and then really, really built up a solid reputation there. And not that, I mean, obviously people who were big fans of MMA kind of knew who he was already, but it gave him some more bigger fights that would have been on the larger scale. So. And then when he got to obviously come to the UFC, he shined, and that's a great win for him, and it's a great opportunity for him to continue to make some money.
Well, right on. Just one thing we want to add. That also, if anybody who is listening live or whatnot, if you want to.
No one's listening live.
No one.
No one's listening live. I mean, it's basically it's like Dan's mom and. I think I'll pay a couple of people to download it.
Well, Dan's Nana or someone wants to tweet in a question or anything, it can at Knuckle Junkies. We'll try to interact in any of that kind of stuff. Another highlight from the weekend, UFC 151 was Roy Nelson, Big Country Nelson, getting another knockout with the Czech Congo, which kind of looks like to either puts him in line to fight Daniel Cormier or Hunt if he should knock off Gino Dos Santos.
That's what Dana White already said. Depending on who wins the Dos Santos Hunt fight, he'll put the winner against. He specifically mentioned Hunt, but. I think if Dos Santos wins, I think they're going to try to do another match with Kane. If Hunt wins, they're going to go ahead and have him fight Big Country, and they'll have Verdun go up and fight Kane. Verdun's a little overdue for this title shot. I know he does have the loss to Dos Santos, but that was a very long time ago, and Verdun's a lot better. And he very not to rain on Big Country's parade, but he dominated that fight. Fight. So, I mean, really at this point, he's had the most consistent win set, since of all the heavyweights right now. You look at, Dos Santos is coming off a loss. Even if he wins one, then, do people really want to see yet another rematch? I mean, they're already pissed that they have to deal with a Bigfoot rematch. They're like, oh, wow, we just saw this fight, 14 months ago. And it was a complete bloodbath, and that's nothing against, I'm sure Bigfoot could probably do better, but he's not good enough to win that fight. So I don't really know why we have to, be sold on this again. It's this does go into not to jump ahead to other fights, but this really goes into just typical UFC bullshit. They sat there and hyped this fight with Chael Sonnen when, the odds makers gave, Jones like he was a 9-1 favorite.
Right.
But they sit there and they're like, I don't know, Chael can really sell a fight. Well, then put him up against Vitor Belfort or somebody that he could have some fun with and potentially beat. Chael's probably a top 5 or 6 fighter at light heavyweight, and he's definitely a top 3 fighter at middleweight. But he's not going to beat John Jones, and he's not going to beat Anderson Silva. So they can't keep selling us the same bullshit every couple of months. It's like, it reminds me of watching like Monday Night Nitro. You guys remember that when Dan, how old are you?
I'm 30.
You're totally with me on this. Okay, so you remember watching Nitro and flipping back and forth between Nitro and Raw, and then when the NWO came in, okay, and Hollywood, Hogan screwed us all over and switched and went to be a bad guy, and then they kept bringing out this cast of characters of old wrestlers that were coming out of retirement that were going to set the wrongs right, and they were going to defeat the NWO. They brought Savage back out, they brought Rowdy Piper back out. And then it was like the big build up to the pay per view where they're like, oh, he's going to defeat Hogan and blah blah blah. It's gonna be better. They're going to defeat the NWO just to have some kind of like, oh, it was actually a backstabbing kind of thing, and Rowdy Piper was a part of the NWO the whole time. They literally played that storyline out 2 or 3 different times. Okay, it's the same shit with the UFC though. They keep coming and say, oh, well, this fight's going to be great, and they sell us this load of shit. And it's not. It's not a good fight. It's not
So Nick Diaz is right with Wolf tickets.
Yeah, totally. They're selling Wolf tickets, man, but we're not buying them. And I mean, there are a lot of great fighters, and there's a lot of great fights to be had. But don't fictitiously build a fight that's not there and then charge us up the asshole for it. It's not the fight we want to see. No one wants to see Bigfoot and Kane fight again. No one wanted to see Chael Sonnen and John Jones fight. Again, I want to see Chael Sonnen fight somebody like, maybe Machida, or maybe you could basically play off the drama that, oh, okay, well, it's another one of Anderson Silva's possible training partners, and I mean that would be a good fight.
He was supposed to fight Forrest Steven. I was fine with that, Forrest Griffin. That was his original fight into light heavyweight.
Well, what I see is I think that's really basically going to be you have a lot of people that aren't as knowledgeable as me and you. They're going to want to see Chael Sonnen running his mouth and come out and fight. We've seen people come out, and we saw Couture come out of retirement and beat the crap out of Silva. We've seen stuff like that before. The GSP versus Sarah fight. You've seen fights where the guy was just not supposed to win and come out of it. Everybody loves the underdog. Everybody loves the Rocky story. I think that's what really sold that fight so much. And I mean,
Chael sold the fight. I love hearing Chael talk. I love watching him fight. I love hearing him talk. He's a lot of fun. And but I want to see him in a fight that is difficult, but that he could potentially win. Let him hype a fight with somebody that he has a shot at beating. And I mean, this is like I feel like you're lied to and sold an inferior product, and I get the entertainment value of it, of the hype for the fight, and I'm all for that. I'm just saying, pick a different fighter. Don't pick the best guy in the division that is going to come. The odds makers said it right. They said he was 9-1 favorite. Although I guess they almost lost on that because had Chael survived the round, what would have happened with the toe thing? Would they have stopped the fight? Because it was a compound fracture.
And I mean, that was, in my opinion, that was a little bit early on the stoppage. Not to say that maybe he would have made it out of the round, because he may not have, but with 30 seconds left, and he only took really 6 shots. I think it was a pretty quick stoppage. I know not a lot of people may be on my side on that, but I mean, you got to let the fighters fight. I mean,
there's quite a few people on your side. I mean, I know, especially a lot of pro fighters chimed in, on Twitter and whatnot, and thought it was, especially for a championship fight, thought it was a stoppage.
Vegas would have been out some money. So.
Oh, that would have been great. I mean, like, and I love to see the underdog win. It's just, man, I mean, to go from the Anderson Silva fight then to go to this fight, it's just like, and I, like I said, I enjoyed Chael very, very much so. I just not interested in being sold these bullshit fights. It's the same thing over and over again. That's why I made the analogy about pro wrestling.
And you're right. So, I mean, I do think it is mainly just based off of money. He had no real business going up and taking a world champion fight up a weight class when hasn't really won a lot of fights recently. But I mean, I really do think it's just the underdog story. Everybody wants to see him. He told his dad on his deathbed that he was going to win a world title and everything. And I think that's it. I think that's probably the last we'll see of Chael, in my opinion. But I mean, it's just nice story, I think, that everybody's going to buy into.
You think they'll take the same angle with the Weidman Silva fight? As far
I
as
think they'll sell it about how Weidman's the guy that Anderson doesn't want to fight and blah blah blah. But I think that it's a legitimate fight, though. I mean, it's a legitimate matchup. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to see Anderson Silva and John Jones fight, but I really don't think that's fair for Anderson Silva. I think the GSP fight is interesting only because Anderson swears up and down that he can make the 170, or that he can get down there to that weight. So if that's the case, well then by all means put them together and have them fight. It's not like anybody's being forced to jump up a weight class. I mean, they did the same thing to Pat Miletich when he fought. They made him jump up to 85 eventually, and Matt Lindland just ran over him.
Well, right on. Well, that was. We're going to kind of segue here a little bit from UFC to some local stuff. We were going to have Johan Flogger come on, but he kind of had a little family emergency, and so glad to have Chris Stump Heatherly join us. I think Dan may know a thing or two about.
Hello.
Shelby,
Hey,
buddy.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Not too much.
Well, hey, Stump, it's Brett with KJ. You're live on the air with about maybe 3 or 4 people listening.
Hey,
We
well,
do
that's
have
cool.
3 or 4 people listening. That's amazing.
So how are things in Stump's world?
Minky for president. Minky for president.
Everybody loves Mickey.
What's going
So
on, guys?
How are things in Stump's world?
Oh, man, things are great. Big announcement today. I got a huge fight coming up June 22nd under Jim Jenkins' promotion. He's throwing a huge professional fight card. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be at the St. Louis Sports Center in Afton under the MMA Sports Federation. I'll actually be fighting for the U.S. title. So I'm real excited about that.
Have they mentioned any opponents yet?
I got an opponent, and I would love to just blast that right now. I will tell you one thing: it is a former UFC veteran. So I'm real excited about it.
So Liz Carmouche.
Yeah, she's probably, I don't want to put her out there, but man, she's pretty.
Dan
family,
Severn is coming out of retirement, and he dropped 100 pounds.
No, I didn't want to tell you, but Mark Coleman actually is back off hip replacement. Is going to come down in a hover round. He's going to ride a hover round all the way to the cage, and then he's going to get out and work some ground and pound.
And somehow Kevin Randleman still manages to fall in the back and slip on pipes and get knocked out again.
As long as Tank Abbott, as long as Tank Abbott comes out of the crowd and smacks the shit out of Joe Rogan, I'm 100% happy with whatever the outcome is of the fight.
Jesus.
So this fight is coming up in June, right?
Yes, sir. June 22nd, and that's it. It'll be at Jim Jenkins' new place that he's throwing these professional fights. It's St. Louis Sports Center in Aston. Huge venue. It's supposed to be a huge card, man. I think they're talking upwards of 8 to 10 pro fights and 5 AMI fights, so it's going to be a huge card.
Yeah, Jim always puts on great cards. It would really be nice that if we could get the kind of, or he could get in a position to get the kind of crowds that say the Fight Hard people do, because that I mean it really sucks, because I mean you go to a Fight Hard show and you get 1 or 2 decent fights. Man, Jim consistently just matches people up really, really well. I mean, even look at his last show at the Heart of St. Charles. I mean that Alex and Ward, that ended up being a really great fight, and then Stump had a great fight too.
Mm-hmm.
Stump and Gert was really good. I don't know what was more entertaining though, watching the fight or the ridiculous aggression out of Stump's fan base.
They need to pat those bastards down before they come in the door, man. Jeez, those guys are nuts.
Yeah, they were going crazy. They're going crazy, man. I just found freaking Big Charles Taylor, man, I ran up and I got behind him. I was like, yeah, they're gonna go crazy, man.
Yeah, them guys, man. It's one thing. I'm glad I have a ton of fan support. Sometimes they get out of control, which I can't help it, and it really makes it look bad at those small venues where everybody's packed together and it looks like a bunch of heathens. But it's great to have those guys come out and buy tickets to every show. And like you said, Jim Jenkins, man, that dude puts on some great shows. This next show coming up June 22nd, he threw the pro names at me, and believe me, if you aren't at this fight, you aren't an MMA fan. This has the top pros in the area on this card.
Oh, it frustrates me to no end. It's like the second guys aren't booked, they don't want to show up. They don't want to support these great fights. It's like, hey, if you're really a fan of fights, and it's not like you're not getting a great product. You get a great product, and then you're also supporting your local sport. And I mean, it's crazy to me to see how somebody can sell 1,500 tickets to an amateur show. But then when we have a great pro show, but it's closer to St. Louis, it doesn't sell for shit. And the only thing I can think is just, St. Louis is not as great an area to have a show as a lot of people would think. Honestly, I think they should do a pro show in Farmington. Man, the people down there show up for fights,
Dude, when they're set for an amateur show, they're selling 3,000 tickets for an amateur show in Farmington. That's where the pros need to be fighting at. These guys are coming out and packing for an amateur show. Needless to say, Nemesis puts on a hell of a fight card, man, and they always bring action-packed fights and hell of a good turnout. But God, man, 3,000 people at an Andy show, we need to be doing that at the professional level here in St. Louis.
Oh yeah, and everybody's just too arrogant. It comes down to people that have completely separate crowds. Like the people that would go watch Jim's shows won't go to Jesse Finney's shows, Shamrock shows, and then vice versa. None of that fan base is going to see there. And then anybody who's affiliated with Fight Hard's gym don't necessarily. I mean, they'll go to other shows if they have fighters booked on there, but they don't necessarily go to shows just to go to shows. So I mean, there's just a very lack of support. It's. I mean, I get not wanting to go to fight shows every weekend, but you'd think it would be easier to skip some of the amateur shows to make it to the pro shows. But yeah, I really want one of those promoters to go down to Farmington and get a pro show set up.
This fight card coming up on the 22nd, man. It's $25 to get in the door. I mean, that's dirt cheap to get in and see the professional bouts that are going to be put on June 22nd. And I'm telling you, man, this card is stacked from the Amis all the way up to the pros. And I just got a little birdie in my ear that said, go ahead and, since this is Knuckle Junkies Live, first show, I'm going to go and I'm going to be fighting 9-time UFC veteran Luigi Fioravanti headlining the St. Louis Sports Center Sport Federation show there in Aston for Jim Jenkins.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's going to be, if you don't want to see a local pro, with his goal set high to chase down a former UFC veteran and a guy that's still very tough in the game, and even, like I said, the co-main event's got a UFC veteran in it as well, and one of the top, in my what I feel is that the undercard could be the main event. This dude on the undercard is the best 185er in the area, hands down.
I'm actually fighting on that card as well.
Well, there you go.
And I mean, I'm telling you now, it's a stacked card, dude.
Well, I guess I'll be buying a ticket to that show. You guys are fighting on the show, and you're not even I'm the only one actually supporting Jim Jenkins. You guys are just fighting for him. You're like making money and shit like that. I'm actually buying a ticket. It somehow makes me feel better about myself.
You should just come dressed up as God, and I'll probably just let you in.
Oh no, I cut my hair off, man. I shaved my head. I got I'm look more like Hare Krishna and not Jesus anymore.
Well, hey, Stump.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you. I mean, coming back off the cage fighting events, your last fight against Gert, and then like I said, Luigi was in his corner. So I mean, it's like they're kind of get a double crack at you. But was that Was that your best performance of your career?
Uh, it was the best performance of my career so far, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the way I'm training right now is I've dropped the dumb shit that I was doing before, and I'm taking this 100% seriously. You know, so every fight I plan on looking better and better. And you know, I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit back and pad my record to be able to tell guys I'm 35-0 and I fought 30 guys that are 0-3. You know, I want to be the guy that's out there. I'm looking for the big name fights. You know, I see, like I said, I can grab a handful of guys, Alex White being one of them. You call the kid and tell him he's got to fight, he's taking it. He's coming to fight. I'm the same way. You call me and tell me you got to fight for me, I'll be there. We like to fight. That's what we do. You know, this is our way of life. This is how we go out and see who's the toughest guy one-on-one. And, you know, no one can take that from you. You go out there, you handle your business, you get the win. No one can take that from you. And that's I mean, I would say that's exactly why I do it, you know. And so coming off a tough fight with Kokani, you know, I trained really hard. I wanted to, you know, stand up a little more, but, you know, I'm out there to win fights, you know. So if I feel like I can dominate with my grappling and my jiu-jitsu, then that's what I'm going to do. And I think it's awesome that Luigi was there to be able to check out the fight. He saw one aspect of my game, and I look to you know, dominate with many aspects for this fight.
Jim just sent me a message, said he's going to have 2,000 people there on June 22nd to pack that place. For certain.
Shit, he better have some naked ladies in there to draw 2,000 people.
I'm
Well,
aware. I think if you come in a Speedo, you probably can get at least 10 people, I would say.
Yeah, I gotta hit the gym though, man. I gotta get my beach muscles before I start running around naked.
As long as, hey, just
Get my
spray
fake
tan,
makeup.
and if you spray tan, you'll be cool, man. You don't even need to lift weights.
Spray those abs in.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Great, man.
so Stump, how are you going to have to approach, you know, Luigi and just, you know, training or just keep things the way you've been doing it, or?
No, you know, I'm going to step everything up, man. I'm going to keep, you know, I am going to continue to bring in good guys, you know, from my last training camp, man. I brought in guys like Lance Benoist, Jake Heck, Jake Collier, really good jiu-jitsu guy, and Steve, and I've worked with, you know, some other names that I'll leave out just because I think that it might be a conflict of interest from their gym. But, you know, I worked with really good guys. I plan on, you know, doing the same thing. We're looking to hopefully get Pat Ely down, and, you know, I know they call him the Italian Tank for a reason. The guy hits like a Mack truck. He's got good boxing. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu out of American Top Team. You know, so I plan on just doing what I do. I feel like my wrestling is good enough to get the fight to the ground, and I feel like my jiu-jitsu is at a level where I have very good jiu-jitsu defense and good counters. So, I mean, I think that I'm more technical than Luigi. He probably hits harder, and my game plan is to not let him punch me in the chin and execute my game plan to the fullest and get my hand raised, whether it's by submission, knockout, or stoppage, or whatever I got to do to get the W.
A Burger MMA game plan. Don't get punched in the face.
MMA. So, yeah, we have
Did you say Burger MMA game plan is not get punched in the face?
Well, sadly.
See, the problem was that he implemented that after he had got punched in the face so many times that
Yeah,
he
you
didn't
should
want
watch
us to
this.
have the same problem. So
You gotta watch this fight with. Yeah, watch this fight with Aaron Riley, man. It was like, I remember when that happened, and people were like, it really was shocking because MMA had some decent fights, but that was one of the first ones where guys were like standing in front, at least stateside, that were just standing in the middle of the ring and trading punches for 3 rounds straight. And so that was like that was a huge fight that year that came out. That was a
What's super crazy, man, is Berger is still the exact same way. You can punch the guy in the face. I mean, I've seen this guy get caught in deep submissions, and the guy doesn't tap. He'd rather go to sleep before he taps, and you know, he is just a hard-nosed grinder, and he's pretty much, you know, like I said, he's training us in ways that, you know, we're not going to stand there and beat the fuck out of each other for no reason. If we can get the fight to the ground and finish you on the ground, you know, everybody likes to see a good old-fashioned, you know, slugfest, but in the end, you know, we're professionals. This is our, you know, for most of us, we're trying to make a career out of this, and we're looking for the W. So if we got to, you know, go out there, eat a few punches, get the fight to the ground, and win where we're good at, then that's what we're going to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're doing this for money. You don't owe anybody your livelihood. You don't owe anybody your mental health or your physical health. You know, it's the concept of, like, I know a lot of fighters say, oh, well, I deliberately stand and bang in fights because that's what I got to do to make sure I ensure my job. And it's like, well, I don't think you're going to get fired if you're finishing people. If you take people down and finish them on the ground, you're not going to get fired. You know, Damian Maia is not in risk of losing his job. John Fitch was, and that's because he doesn't finish people. But
he doesn't finish, and if he just, and man, his last fight, that guy's supposed to be a badass wrestler, and he got demolished in the wrestling game.
I was going to say the same thing.
Damian Maia has really good wrestling, though. Like Damian Maia in old jiu-jitsu competitions, there's videos of him throwing Gonzaga in competition.
Yeah, that dude's tough, man. You know, but like you said, Fitch, you know, when you take a guy down, you lay on top of him for 3 rounds, and you don't look to finish. You look to hang out in his guard and pity-pat punch him around. You know, then your job is at risk. If he won all those fights, you know, that he hung out in guard and was winning the fights, they wouldn't cut him. You know, just like you said, if you get the W, they're not going to cut you.
I was going to say the same thing about mental health. I mean, anybody that has ever met Steve or trained with Steve, him standing and banging and putting on those wars for all those years that he's done it and all those fights that he has is the same reason that we have to help him find his keys after class 90% of the time. I mean, we love the guy to death, but, I mean, he's been hit a lot. And I
will say, as somebody that knew Steve like 10, 15 years ago, he wasn't so sharp then either. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. No, I'm kidding.
I mean,
you know he's watching.
I was going to say Steve Berger's handsome for a reason. You know, God wasn't going to hit him that way. He wasn't going to make him ugly and confused. Just confused.
You know, I love Steve to death, but you know, when Carly takes him to the zoo, his kids don't wear one of those little leashes. He actually wears one. That's so he doesn't stray away from the family, you know. But no, I love Steve, man. That dude is a great coach, and you know, I really love that he went on went about his own and really pushed the no-gi jiu-jitsu, and I think it's a huge advantage in MMA. And you know, I think gi jiu-jitsu helps as well, but I really like the way he teaches the no-gi jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Steve really is he's one of the pioneers of Midwest MMA. You know, he probably has. I mean, if you were to take the 10 best like Midwest, you know, 2000 or late 90s into 2000, like if you were going to make a list of the best fights in the Midwest, I guarantee you Steve's on there at least 3 or 4 times. I know, obviously, with the Riley fight and his fight with Wisniewski, Keith Wisniewski was awesome, and it was crazy too, man, because like they had this epic fight with Keith Wisniewski up in Chicago, and they're both laying in the ring afterwards. Steve gets out; it's a close decision loss, but gets out of the ring. He's cool. Wisniewski is literally laying in the ring as they're taking it down around him. And he was just like, I have never been in a fight like that. That was like one of the most amazing experiences in his life. You know, he like said he was like that. He was like, I'm beat up, but I have never been this happy in my life. He's like, I have never experienced anything like that. It was like it was religious for him, man. And you know, Steve just, you know, laughing and enjoy it, and it was hilarious because his head was all swollen and he had ice packed in, and the guy still was trying to help me close with the girl I was trying to talk to. So he helped me get her number and everything like that. He was all fucked up, and he's like, hey dude, you got to go get that number. So.
Hey Stump.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hey Stump, you want to hang on? We're going to try to get Jake Collier on the line at the same time. If you want to stick around.
Yeah, I want to stick around, and I want to just if I got a quick second here, I got a guy calling me out in Kansas City. I'd like to talk about too. If you got a second.
Let it go.
Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, this guy's calling me out from Kansas City. His name's Dallas Browning.
I know Dallas Browning.
Yeah, you know, tough guy. We were supposed to fight for my professional debut. Obviously, me moving to Burgers pretty much kind of put a stop on that because I was originally signed to fight on the Shamrock Promotions card versus Dallas Browning. Once I switched over to Burger MMA, the loyalty thing is a big part of my career. It's a big part of me. So I'm loyal to Steve Burger. He didn't want me to fight on the card, so we didn't take the fight. So this guy's saying that I'm ducking him. He got on that MMA show, that yet to be named MMA show last night, and was throwing. I think he said I was a roly-poly from 8 Mile. He gave me tried to give me the business on the slide. So I definitely, after this fight, June 22nd, I hope there is a promoter out there, whether it's someone in St. Louis or someone in Kansas City, that can get us on the card so I can smack the shit out of Dallas Browning. So, I'm one of those guys, I don't duck anybody. And for a guy that's beat guys that are 0-2 for most of his professional career, to be shit-talking me, I'm more than happy to get in the fight, and I'm more than happy to smack him in his mouth.
I mean, your Facebook comments together were pretty entertaining. So
we went back and forth pretty good there on Facebook, and I pretty much decided, hey, I don't have to talk any more shit. I told you that we can take this fight anywhere besides Shamrock Promotions, and it's an open invitation. 170, I will fight you any point in time. Anytime they call me and say, do I want to fight Dallas Browning, I will sign the contract that day.
That tells you right there that he doesn't really want the fight. He's just talking. He's running his mouth. He's in a position where he knows the fight won't go down, so it's just easier to sit there and talk shit. If it was like, if he really wanted the fight, then he would go ahead and fight on a fight show that there's not some kind of political issue. And dude, I gotta call you out on this. It was really funny that you just said you're like, loyalty's a big thing for me. So when I switched teams to Burger's gym. and I was like, wait a minute, you're talking about loyalty and then switching teams. Anyway, sorry, I had to fucking say it, man. I had to say it. No, I'm just messing with you, man. I wasn't like, I'm not being serious about that.
But I gotta put it out there now, Mr. Menke. The reason I switched teams is because actually I was training out of Champions MMA over in Belleville under Jim Boucher, and his facility actually closed down. And I went out to one night. They told me about this tough 185er. Jake Collier, who was trying to get some work in out at Burgers with Pat Smith and Coach Mark Botindri when he was in town. So I went out there. We had a badass sparring session. He subbed me, I subbed him. We punched each other in the face, and now we're really good friends. And that's basically how I got out to Burgers.
That's awesome. I'm actually okay. Now I'm glad I said something because I didn't know that. And that makes sense. I'm glad I said something. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a perfect segue. Do we have
Jake?
And
like I'm super loyal. So
Jake's gonna be on the show here in a second.
Hello.
Jake Collier.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, man?
Dude, Mr. Collier, what's up? Stump's over here talking mad shit.
Do what?
Jake,
he's talking mad shit,
Collier.
man. He said he's twice the looker you are.
I mean,
he said he's the best looking guy in St. Louis MMA. I said Jake Collier is.
Oh
yeah. Hey, you guys are gonna make my girlfriend jealous. She says I'm in love with Jake, so now that he's on the phone, we can really discuss our romance of St. Louis MMA together.
There you go. Yeah. It's okay. It's a bromance.
Yeah, I love the guy, man.
What's up, Jake? How are things?
Good, man. Just training, getting the grind in every day. That's about it.
Weigh-ins Thursday, main event Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back in there and fight, put on a show for the fans.
Finally, man, finally. Jake Collier can't be denied, man. Comes off this great fight with Cully Bowlerfield and then could not get another fight after that. That was some horse shit, man. It's great to see you back in the cage finally. I almost said ring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think there were some people out there who didn't think I could wrestle or hang with the wrestler. He was a really good wrestler, I think I showed all my skills there. This fight, I really don't plan on doing that. I really think I want to go in there and get it done in the first round. Show the crowd some excitement.
Well, that was the difference, though. Cully Butterfield was used to getting in spandex underwear and wrestling around with other guys. You've grown up hoisting.
Hey!
What's up?
That's enough of that spandex guy wrestling shit. I'm a wrestler, but
what are you talking about? That's why I wear the gi. You know, at least I have cloth between me and the rest of my body and other people. Man, you guys running around with no shirts on and spandex shorts, humping each other on the ground. It's disgusting.
Hey,
But
look, they
no,
play,
I was
when
going to
you come
say
out,
is
they
there's a
play for
big
the
difference
championship.
between wrestling and lugging steel around all day long. And it's like that kind of power that you get from just working physical labor for years and years and years. And you saw it in that third round where Jake wrapped him up on his hips right there and fucking picked that guy up like 19 foot in the air and slammed him down. To be able to generate that power 12 minutes into a fast paced fight like that was insane. But I mean that's an old fight though. We're past that. What do you want to do with what do you want to do this with Quarter Stitz? I mean, what are you thinking about? You got a game plan other than just go out there and be aggressive on the feet, or what have you thought about him? Have you seen many of his fights?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few of his videos. From what I can see, he's kind of wild standing up, does some crazy shit. His ground, he's got some jits, some arm bars, some triangles, basic stuff. I mean, I think I'm going to be the bigger, stronger guy, and I'm going to force my will on him. And I've been working a lot of clinch stuff, some different arsenal in my stand-up. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a fight. Anything can happen, but I honestly think once I punch him in the face, he's going to start rethinking about his game plan and trying to become a wrestler and shooting on me. But that's all right. I know how to wrestle too, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, where'd you do your camp at for this one? Collier, where'd you do your camp at for this one?
Do what?
Where did you do your camp at for this fight? Were you bouncing around still, or you just pretty much stay at the pit, or what'd you do?
I kind of, I really haven't really went anywhere. I mean, I went out to Rogers one time, got some surrounding with some very legit dudes, and that's about it, man. I've been staying at my gym, just getting the grind in, really, just focusing on what I'm going to do. And the other day I got some rounds in at Burgers, but other than that, I really just stayed home and worked for my guys.
And I'm going to be the first to say that this dude has, for never wrestling, this dude is a legit wrestler. I mean, I've wrestled 20 years. This guy's legit, man. From his stand-up to his ground game to his wrestling, as a fellow fighter and thankful fighter to be in the 170 division, I wouldn't want to fight the guy. The guy's got devastating power in his hands. His leg kicks, his combinations are just makes people look stupid. And his wrestling is come a long way, and it will be world class by the time he's done.
And Jake, does that come from Patrick, or just kind of talk about him as a coach? I mean,
oh man, he's really awesome. He helps me stay grounded. Like a lot of guys talk me up, and they're like, oh, this and this, and I think I'm talented, but I think I can be a lot better. He's really good at focusing on like the little things. Like the hardest part about going back to the gym after I win, fight, or lose, whatever. He's, I could think I did everything perfect, and he always nitpicks me. And realistically, that's good. You want a coach that's gonna pick things out and make you realize, hey, you are doing things wrong. Not just be like, oh, you're the best. You're the greatest, you're doing better than ever, and then my wrestling, I mean, we got some wrestlers at our gym, and like I go a lot with Heatherly and Mark Patendry when he was down. I mean, it's just, I'm like a sponge, man. I just soak it up. You're going to take the time out of your day to tell me or teach me something. I'm going to use it, and here I am. I'm a pretty young guy still, and I feel that I can only get better. And with Patrick, always nitpicking and pointing out my flaws, and it's the only way I can get is better.
All right, just to kind of circle the wagons here for anybody who's listening. It's KJ Live here. We've got Jake Collier on the line. He's fighting in the main event Friday at Rumble Time, Cinco de Mayhem. We also have local fighter Chris Stump Heatherly, who just made a big fight announcement that he'll be fighting on Jim Jenkins' card. Luigi, you guys help me with the last name.
Fioravante.
There you go. Huge fight, potential fight of the year right there. So, and we also have Jon Menke and Dan O'Connor, and we're here at KJ Live talking with Jake. Jake, do you think you're going, where you're at in your career? Do you think you're going to have to maybe like, pull a Josh Sampo and leave the comfy confines of Missouri and go maybe take some tough fights out in Texas or Florida or California or whatever to maybe catapult you to where you want to go or to what you want to be or
Oh, definitely. I mean, if the opportunity comes, I'm not going to turn it down. I very rarely, I don't think I've ever turned a fight down in my life. It's just like, hey, you want to fight this guy? Yeah, let's do it. I'm a fighter. I love fighting. I love competing. I'm probably one of the most competitive persons in the world. I don't care if it's hotchkotch. I want to win. That's just how it is, man. I'm very competitive. And if Legacy called me tomorrow and was like, hey, we got a fight in 8 weeks, and I probably wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, sure. It's
right.
just how it is. I don't want to work 9.5 hours a day carrying steel and welding all day. I want to make this my career, and I think that I've got the tools to do it. It's just the opportunities, I haven't got yet.
Hey, Minky, for those who don't know who are listening, Jake Collier, just kind of give them the rundown on, Jake and just what he brings to the table.
Okay, well, Jake is a devastating striker, but also has very, very well-rounded grappling and submission game. He's very effective off of his back and the guard. He's excellent at standing up. He's excellent at sweeping, hitting switches, chasing the back. Of course, has the array of your fundamental submissions, your arm bars, your triangles, guillotines, things like that.
Oh, you there?
With his feet. It almost reminds me of somebody who, like, I mean, and Jake, stop me. Did you ever do Taekwondo as a kid or any kind?
No, definitely not. I really didn't do anything as a kid.
He was fat, man. He was a fat kid.
I was, man. 275, man. Straight fat. Just like, from the sticks, man. Work on cars and cut wood. That's what I did as a kid, man. There's no, secret story behind me. I never even played sports in school, man. It's just, one day I was kind of like, I really liked the sport, and I wanted to get into it.
Hello.
You're back.
You're back. Anybody that's ever worked with Collier, man, the guy has no 50%. It's actually one of the people that I hate ever grappling with. You get something good on him, he'll barrel roll you and almost snap your head off. I mean, it's freaky how strong he is. It's like he's like a missing link between man and gorilla.
Hey, I got a quick question for Jake. I've been hearing this little buzz too. I know you have a big fight with Cordis coming up, and I've heard a little buzz around the gym that there's a guy that's been doing a little talking. That you used to be pals with.
Yeah.
That you used to be pals with, and
you can't. Fucking
hello?
kidding me.
We hear you. I do, at least.
I hear him.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So I hear that, like I said, this guy's been doing a little trash talking. You guys used to be homeboys, and I was just wanting to know, is there any truth behind that with Laverne Clark doing a little trash talk and wanting to fight, in my opinion, the best 185er in the state?
I mean, I used to train a lot with Laverne. If he wants to fight me, I mean, it's all to him. I mean, I don't care. I'll fight whoever. But I think he's past his prime for sure, and I'm only going to get better. If he wants to bang or it's whatever, let's do it. Sign the contract, and I'll make him remember why he should have quit. He should have retired a couple years ago.
potential fight right there, I think, because I like I said, I've been hearing quite a bit of talk and chatter about Laverne Clark, basically dissing Jake, saying that he couldn't even point him out if he's seen him. So apparently, what they had in the past was not strong enough for the future. So I would like to see, definitely like to see Jake and Laverne Clark, and in my opinion, I think we all know how it would go, and I'd be happy to see it.
How old are you, Jake?
I just turned 24.
And how long ago was it when you were pretty heavy?
I was like 19.
Yeah.
Big old tub of fat. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, I'm back. Piece of shit, I swear.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Excellent. Yeah, I just all of a sudden, I guess my microphone died. I had I had to log out and log back in.
We're back.
Hey, we heard you. We heard you shit talking your microphone, Minky, the whole time.
You did?
Yeah.
Porn I had going on in the background.
Yeah, we heard that. You know what? Do you have a porn
Sound
stash
like
right
two
now?
guys.
Do I have a porn stash?
Yeah. Can you say you shaved your head bald, and I was just wondering if you kept a little Minky porn stash.
It's not long enough to curl a handlebar mustache right now, but I got I do have the facial hair still. So did
What
we
do you guys
talk
think?
about? I sat there and talked for I don't know how long. Is Jake still on?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask. Did you do any taekwondo or anything like that as a kid, or?
Nah, man. I literally did nothing. I growed up when I was a kid. We lived way out of town, and we heated with wood, so it was like work on cars and cut firewood all the time. My best friend was my dog. You know, I didn't have no friend. You know, I didn't really get to hang out or do anything. You know, I'm not. My family's definitely not rich, and we couldn't even afford to play sports when I was younger. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, I don't want no sympathy from nobody by no means, but I'm just saying that's just how it was, man. Did absolutely nothing athletic as a kid, and
Holy shit! I think this sounds like a David Allan Coe song to me. No, I was asking because like when I was talking to myself when the damn Skype went down. I was sitting there. I was talking about one of the most impressive things you do is the ridiculous hand-eye coordination and dexterity you have with your feet, and the way you can move laterally while throwing the combinations that you do. It's like indicative of somebody who's been doing Muay Thai for a long time at like some high-end camp in New York, which is one of the better places in the country to train Muay Thai, but. You don't normally see that kind of that dexterity. I mean, and that's why I wonder because I've seen it out of some kids who have a pretty extensive Taekwondo background. They tend to be able to move pretty well, but so that's why I asked.
Nah, man, no background in nothing really.
Completely wrong.
Yeah. So. A couple other fights on the, Cinco de Mayhem. Johan Flogger we mentioned earlier, and Shane Moffitt, Ramon Barber, and Javon Wright. Any thoughts on any of the other fights on this card?
I'm actually, yeah. They're obviously they got they're getting Johans ready and everything like that. Joe Warden called me today and told me he was going to be out of the country, asked me to work Shane's corner, so it looks like I'm working Shane's corner that night.
Yeah.
God, I was just about to tell Minky the game plan too. That's out the door.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you were going to have Johan's on because I was going to be like, yeah, I'm actually going to end up working the other guy's corner, and then I was going to proceed to ask him like real specific stuff about does he have any injuries and what exactly does he plan on doing for the first 3 moves of the fight.
Yeah, one thing I can say about Johans is, he's fighting it. I believe this fight's at 135. He's coming off a quick submission victory in Springfield, and the guy is, he's just like I'm sure Shane is. Shane's a tough dude. He's coming off some really big victories as an amateur. I would almost, besides, like I said, the main event, I think is going to be one-sided. Probably, I would say a first-round finish. I would say this is with Moffitt, the grind that he's on, and the way he fights, I say that's possibly a potential for a fight of the night, or at least a crowd pleaser for sure.
I mean, being in the gym, that's the best Yogi I've seen. Yogi usually is really nervous, breaking down weeks out, and I mean, right before the fight, I've never seen anybody as nervous as Yogi. I mean, he does get sick to his stomach. He's like in a ball, and his nerves are just gone now. I mean, the last fight he had, he came out. They said he wasn't nervous at all. He was just coming out to fight. And I think we got the Yogi that we see in the gym. A lot of times it doesn't translate with a lot of people. They might be the best gym fighter, and they don't put them in a real ring and a real fight. And the nerves that people watch and the fight, and they can't perform. And think we've seen that Yogi a bunch, and I'm hoping and I think we will see the Yogi that we see in the gym all the time that is a pain in the butt to grapple with, the pain in the butt to spar, and he's just hard to hit. So,
yeah, it's ridiculous how much of a psychological factor plays in the fight game. You know, a lot of guys sit there and torture themselves in training, going, "Oh, I got tired in my last fight, so I've got to train harder. I've got to be in better shape." And a lot of times, it's about being able to how you're internalizing the stress that you're being put under. So you can be, you know, the best shape of your life 10 times over, and be able to do amazing things in a non-stressed environment. But the second you get in front of everybody, then you can't perform, and all of a sudden you get tired. So there's so much psychology that goes into the fight game and in performing in front of a crowd. A lot of people think the answer is just train harder, and it's really not. It's not. You look at guys like even like Jake Ellenberger and things like that. Everybody's always shocked when, because you know, obviously as a friend of the team, he a lot of the guys from St. Charles like to go train with him and things like that, and they're always shocked at how hard he trains. Now he does train hard, but he doesn't train nearly as hard as a lot of the other guys that are just torturing themselves. He focuses on making sure that he's mentally relaxed and focused about achieving the goals that he wants to, and he can block out those outside, those external distractions while not internalizing just the stressful nature of the fight. And it's really upsetting as a coach to try to get over that. It's you've got to build kids up from the beginning, and that's something that I feel a lot of coaches make the mistake of, is that they overtrain their fighters and they just make this shit way too important. You know, it's not. I mean, it's really important, but at the end of the day, you know, you get an opportunity to pursue your dreams. So whether you fail or succeed, you're out there trying something, and there's value in that. So there's a lot of ways you can look at it. Sports psychology is one of the most underlooked aspects of the fight game. Like, I mean, look at Chael Sonnen, how he skyrocketed up the ratings rankings rather when he finally got with a good sports psychologist, and then he was able to string some wins together because he was able to go out there with some balance.
Hey,
Right on.
John, I just got a quick question for you. You know, you were talking pretty high on Jake earlier. What do you think of, you know, potential for a guy like Jake or like myself, if we were able to do this full time, you know, train full time instead of like Jake, you know, he said, well, then, you know, in the hot ass summer, me, I run my own business and it's full time and work a full time job. What could our potential be if we could train as full time fighters?
Well, obviously, you know, sky's the limit for both you guys. The real issue, I mean, you know, Jake hit the nail on the head, is opportunity. I mean, honestly, and you guys both know this because I'm sure you've sat home, and I know you don't want to be disrespectful and name names or anything like that, but how many UFC cards have you seen, like those undercards, like the Facebook undercard, and you look at the guy and you're like, that guy's not better than me at all. And it's because he knows somebody that got him the opportunity at the right time. So really, I mean, getting your name out there is such a huge, you know, huge difficult task for a lot of guys. And this is something that a lot of fighters don't realize, is that they think, okay, well, I pay a manager 10%, I pay the trainers 10%, I say, you know, the gym, whatever, 10%. And so my job is to fight, their job is to set me up for success. And that honestly should be true, but it doesn't work like that a lot, you know, and the fighters have to kind of take it upon themselves is look into how they can make themselves more marketable. You look at a guy like Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice fought a couple of street fights against some ham and egg or assholes at somebody's fucking barbecue, and the guy's, you know, written up as the next coming of fucking, you know, Muhammad Akbar, Mike Tyson, and he gets all this bullshit credit, and it was completely undeserved. Now, Kimbo's a tough guy. He fights. He's athletic, and you know, he deserves the respect for that. But there's a lot of really good guys out there who aren't getting the opportunities. So what I would suggest is, if you want to be able to get rid of your job, you got to figure out how to market yourself to a bigger crowd. Now, a lot of the ways, you know, like taking a note from Chael Sonnen, obviously, you know, not just talking shit, but, you know, being an entertainer. Understand what you're doing there. You're there to entertain people. In addition to that, you know, obviously be a value to the car that you can be on. So, like Jim Jenkins, if you support him, if you're hyping and a lot of people come to see you fight, Jim's the kind of guy that will continue getting you fights, and he'll get you to that next level because they won't be able to ignore you. If you get the big fights and you fight them locally, they won't be able to ignore you. It's like how many different internet news articles have you seen written about Josh Sampo now? And they still haven't picked him up by the UFC, but he hasn't picked up. But constantly, he's the prospect that is getting shafted right now in the 125 division, and everybody that's on the inside of the fight community knows it. So, but it was because Jim was out there supporting him and helping him get to the next level, and that was because he supported Jim. I'm sorry, this is a roundabout way answering the question. What I was saying is fighters like you guys need to figure out how to get yourself to the next level or how to get yourself marketable to the next level, because you can't rely on your trainers to do it. You can't rely on your management to do shit. You can't rely on
I was recently criticized. I won't mention any names, but I was recently criticized because obviously, me, like you said, looking for the next opportunity. I seen that Adam Sella, who got his foot in the door with the UFC, had recently been cut from the UFC, and I seen he was looking for a fight here in St. Louis. Well, the first thing that came to my mind is, hey, you say you're dropping to 170. I feel like I'm the best 170 pounder in the area. I would love to take that fight. And I was criticized because I asked the guy if I could get a fight with him. Obviously everybody on my team and through my camp realized that, I'm just looking, just like you said, for the opportunity to get my foot in the door. I thought it was a very professional way to go about it. I didn't trash talk him. I think he's a stand-up guy. But
you didn't hit on his girlfriend or anything like that. That's complete bullshit. People want to complain about, he's trying to be opportunistic and hit Sella when he's at a low point. That's fucking bullshit. He's a professional fighter, and he was looking for something in St. Louis. You've got a big name in St. Louis. It's a great opportunity for you. And if he's capable of being in the UFC and winning in the UFC, well, then it shouldn't be hard for him to knock out a couple of wins and get back in the UFC. And as long as you're not out there talking shit as long as you're not out there being mean-spirited about things, asking for a fight is what you need to do.
Yeah,
he's got to be better off sitting there.
Big win.
So.
Well, Menke, you touched on being loyal to a promoter like somebody that is trying to build up fighters like Jim Jenkins, for instance, who gave me my pro debut and built me up from scratch. What do you think about guys switching promotions, bouncing around, or you think they should kind of stick with one promoter that's been trying to build them and not just bounce around to whoever gives them a paycheck?
Well, this is a business, it's a profession, and as smart businessmen will say, if it doesn't make dollars, it don't make sense. And to show a promoter preferential treatment is one thing, but to completely sign some kind of no compete kind of thing. I mean, obviously, if somebody's going to get your back, well, then, yeah, you're going to show them preferential treatment. But that's because they're doing you a favor. So, one hand is washing the other. As far as going out there and looking for fights, well, you're just looking for fights, and it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be. But if a guy who's been good to you does look out for your best interest, and he's like, hey, can I get you I want to get you a fight, I want to get you on the start. Well, obviously, it's each individual fighter is going to make that, got to make that choice. Okay, they want to support this person. If you really mean like kind of fighting for different promotions amongst St. Louis, I don't see any problem with that. If somebody's willing to pay pay you guys money, then you should be able to do it,
Guys, we're getting a little bit close to the end here. I just want to thank Stump and Jake for calling in and making this the debut show. Pretty kick ass from my standpoint.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
All I can say is we'll get better with more practice.
Right.
So it can only get better from here.
It's like a band, and it's just like a first practice for a band. I mean, it's only gonna.
I didn't know Menke talked this much. I got to step up my game.
Oh yeah, well, I'm really confused right now because I don't have the video feed, so I'm not I'm trying to visualize what everybody's facial expressions are and things like that, so I could because I'm just jumping in arbitrarily right now. So it's like in my mind, I've got like this mental picture of Dan sitting there, and he's eating Lucky Charms, and he's got his paperboy hat on, and
Son of a bitch.
Hey, his face looks like a fresh, smooth baby's ass.
Yeah.
He does. He has excellent complexion for a man.
Hey,
Dan
Jake,
O'Connor, handsome for a man.
Hey,
Thank
Jake, any final words going into Friday or Thursday, or anything you want to say, people to come out and see, or any predictions, or?
Nah, man. I mean, if you guys want to see a good fight, you probably shouldn't come Friday because I don't really plan on making it a good fight. I plan on going in there and getting it.
Let's do it out there.
I'm just saying. I mean, if I bring my A game, which I plan on it, I'm a pretty mentally strong guy, and if I go out there and do like I'm supposed to, then it's not going to last very long. So.
Well, right on, man. We wish you luck, and we'll see you on Friday night. And
All right, man. Thanks.
And Stump, thanks a bunch. And I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about. And thanks for coming on here and dropping the bomb.
Hey, I appreciate the big shout out to KnuckleJunkies.com for having me.
We need to switch the nickname over to Chubby Bunny, man. Come on.
It's not,
Make it
it's not
official.
happening. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
See you, buddy.
Well, I think that went pretty well. We're going to close things up. We were going to have BJ Smith on, talk about the Nemesis fight, but he has some sick child, so he wasn't going to be able to join us. One thing I was going to, brought up, seemed like there was a lot of heavy, bigger guys, 205 heavyweights and whatnot, fighting on that card that made some noise. What is it about kind of the bigger guy? It doesn't seem we don't seem to have and I'm sure Menke can chime in on this, but the reason why we don't really have a stud heavyweight or stud light heavyweight, or many of them, I should say. Is there
Well, because normal human beings aren't the size of heavyweight and light heavyweights once they start taking the sport seriously. Just look at how quickly people have dropped weight classes once they really dedicate to the sport. They start dropping down.
Yeah.
There's only a few guys, that I mean, you look at. I don't really want to name specific names, but I can think of probably half the guys in the top 10 of 205 that could easily make 85.
Yeah.
And so there, it just, there's not, once you start watching your diet and once you start eating healthy and you're working out regularly, you're taking this sport seriously, there's not a lot of guys that are over 6 foot, 6'2", 3, or I'm sorry, that are under 6'2" or whatever, that are going to be really that big. Now, obviously, there's guys that like Roy Nelson that say, screw it, I'm going to go the other way with it, and I'm going to pack on the size, and I'm going to throw my weight behind my punches and use it like that. But Roy Nelson also moves his head pretty well. I just... and
you can't count out that mullet.
Right, yeah, he's got that mullet power. He's got the mullet power. But, yeah,
no, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense,
Well, I trained with two of the heavyweights that fought on that card, Mike Wright and Saunders. They don't eat healthy. You actually hit it nail on the head. Neither one do. They're both very, very big guys. Mike Wright, I mean, he's just a ghetto-ass guy that swings for the fences, and he hits hard, and he is very, very good. He trains with Yogi a lot. His grappling has gotten better. Saunders came in, and he's just hillbilly strong. So, and he's been getting better and better on the ground, and that's where he won the fight. And Mike Wright broke the guy's ribs with body shots. I mean, that's pretty scary. And
yeah, Saunders is a little bit different though, because he actually does have a solid muscle mass. I mean, he does have I mean, he's one of those guys that you can say that he's a proper, proper 205er, proper cruiserweight, whichever one he's decided. He's got some good size. He's got broad shoulders. There's a lot of guys that I'm sitting at, I look at some of the heavyweights and things like that, and I'm much bigger than them. And I can still, I can easily make 205 still, but I used to be able to make 85. So, and I'm much bigger than these guys. Or we can use a perfect example. I guarantee you, 3 weeks after his fight, Jake Collier is going to be bigger than most of those the guys fighting heavyweight in the St. Louis area and amateur. So, I unfortunately didn't get to watch the fights. Tell me a little bit about? Can we get a recap on Tony and Dwyer?
Yeah, those who can. Dan, were you there?
I was not there. I got a play-by-play. I actually had to work and watch the UFC fights as I drank and worked.
Wow, so we totally came in this with our pants down. That's why we needed BJ here.
Exactly.
He's too bad he's sitting at home watching soap operas, eating Haagen-Dazs.
Or you could go to knucklejunkies.com and read the recap.
Yeah. From what I understand, he came out and he did want to stand with the guy, stood with him a little bit, and as soon as it started turning into a brawl, he just took him down, and then started pounding on him and did what he does. So
1,600 people. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Regardless,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does an excellent turnout right there. I really just wish that, or I'll be excited. I hear rumors about it happening. We obviously got to wait till it happens. But I'm excited to see BJ do some co-promoting. He's really got it down as far as the concept of ticket prices, and then using a good street team to get out there. The best way to sell tickets is not necessarily with billboards or throwing a ton of flyers or going to people's gyms or counting on flyers to sell tickets. Those are all good ways of doing it, but literally just getting out there and talking to people. Like I remember when we did our first show in St. Louis at Al Hrabowski's, we literally were down at that bar every single weekend throwing flyers, talking to people. And we easily had an easy 700 people, or I'm sorry, 1,700 people in there. So, and it was actually kind of a shitty venue.
Yeah.
Decent fights. I mean, this was before St. Louis even had any fighters. We probably had, we had maybe a dozen pro fighters, and then maybe 8 or 9 amateurs. That's it. And so we had to farm all the talent from out of town, which is interesting. That's how I met Lucas Lopes years ago, who's now working over at HIT as the instructor over there. So, small world.
Well, right on, guys. I think this is kind of ran a little longer than what we hope to do in the future. But for the first one out of the gate, I think things went pretty well. Mr. Matt Frazier's doing all the work behind the scenes, and he's given us the signal to put an end to it. So hopefully we'll be back again next week, and hopefully this will be a regular Monday deal. You can come back here and rewatch it, and also download on iTunes. See ya.
See ya.
Suck a dick, no homo.